Overall spending rise even in places like Texas, Florida, and Arizona?
Yes, we still are at this point. Spending has slowed a little bit in those places where it's not rising as fast in Texas and Florida as it is in places like New York and New Jersey that are still bouncing back from the lockdowns. But on net, spending is still going up a little bit, even in those places like Texas and Florida.
Are you surprised by that overall, the resilience?
So far, I think. I mean, we'll see how it plays out here. Certainly we did have a big hole to dig out of with a lot of room to bounce back. So we've always been expecting a partial V shape where we get a fairly rapid bounce off the bottom. But I would also say that those virus case numbers are starting to look pretty scary in places like Texas and Florida. So I would not be surprised if we see more of a pullback here.
Sure. And overall, what do you think is going on with the recovery based on this consumer spending data? Because you could argue credit card usage is up because it's out of desperation, that people have to rely on that in order to keep spending. Is there any way to figure out if it's kind of a bad news or good news phenomenon?
Well, I mean, certainly at the beginning of the virus episode, we saw these big jumps up in essential spending at things like supermarkets and hardware stores, discount stores, things like that. But over the last month or two, we have been seeing these more gradual rebounds in more discretionary spending like restaurants, lodging, slowly in airlines, things like that. So, I think we are seeing some slower bounce in that discretionary spending too.
And you say it's largely the younger generations, which again will bear watching in the kind of weeks ahead. But how are they faring spending-wise relative to the older generations?
Yeah, that's right. So younger generations like millennials and Generation Z, especially in some of these southern states like Texas and Florida, they had kind of led the bounce back. As of a month or two, they were clearly ahead of both New York millennials and baby boomers in the South. But more recently, the New Yorkers have been catching up. So New York millennials have had a strong couple of weeks of spending here. They're nearly caught up to the Texas millennials in our data. Also starting to see some rise in the New York and northern state baby boomer spending.